welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today we are going to be table basting one of my quilts, and I've been table basting for quite a while. I do have a video on how to baste on the floor, and that's how I used to do it, but it was really hard on my back and my knees and climbing all over the floor. So I've been doing it on my table for quite some time, and I thought I would share some of my tips with you on how to table baste your quilts. So let's go ahead and get started. For this project, you're going to need some batting. I use warm and white natural batting for pretty much all my quilts because I always have like a white or light background, and the batting itself is white, so you don't see any of those little flecks that you can have showing through from, like, say, a natural batting. And then I always use this basting spray. This is 505 basting spray. This is my favorite one. As you're going to see in the middle of this video, I do run out of this and have to resort to a backup one that I've just kind of been storing in case of an emergency. But really, this is my go-to basting. It doesn't gunk up my machine a whole lot, and it holds my quilts really well. So I think that's all you're really going to need for this project, aside from a quilt backing, some batting, and a quilt top. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start out, I clean off my tabletop and move it away from the wall just a little bit. And I do have my pre-cut batting here, so I spread the batting out on the table. And then as you see here, I'm going to start lining up my quilt top. And I line up all the edges, make sure that it's going to fit on there. And then once I'm certain of its placement, I'll go ahead and start smoothing it down. And I just make sure that it's all nice and smooth. Now some of that's hanging off on the floor, as you can see. If you have a helper to kind of hold one edge while you pull it, that's helpful. If you don't, you can kind of just finagle it yourself. You can also use clamps if you want, but I find it's easier to be able to move it around, as you see here. Next, I'm going to roll my quilt down in sections, about 1 1/4-inch wide sections. I find that's about the easiest for me to handle, and I'll just roll it all the way down towards the end, except for that last section. That last section I'm going to fold up and away so that I can kind of start there and make sure everything's nice and straight, and then I'm going to go ahead and start spraying. So I will spray just that one section, and I just do one section at a time. I do make sure to open my windows so I have proper ventilation. That's also very important. Sometimes I even wear a mask when I'm doing this. Now here's an option. You can put clamps on your table, but like I said, I'm really moving this around so much. I find the clamps to be a little bit more of a pain than a help, but you can do whatever you want. You can also use masking tape to tape the edges down to your table as well. But at this point, I feel like I just like being able to move it around as needed. Next, I'm going to go ahead and just spray each section, and I just smooth out each small section as I'm going, and you can kind of see me doing that here. I run my hands underneath the folded area to smooth out the section that I have just spray basted. And this is exactly the same way I spray baste if you saw my video on how to spray baste on the floor. This is the exact same method, I'm just doing it on the table. And there you can see I have removed my clamps because they were just in my way. The other thing I do every time I spray a layer is I just clip away any extra threads that might show through my front. So that truck right there is red, and some of those little red threads would definitely show through my white background fabric. So I'll clip all that off, make sure that all of my seams are nice and flat, and you can even use the spray base to kind of help you press those seams down if they're being unruly. And then I'll just go ahead and continue on with that process of clipping my threads and spray basting each section as I go. This batting is getting towards the end of the roll, and so it's a little bit wrinkly, so I am actually going to end up pressing this top. I don't normally do that, but you'll see me do that here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and finish adding the quilt top all the way down, and then I'm going to just run my iron on it just really quickly. It's kind of a low heat, and I'm just trying to get out some of those wrinkles in the batting because the batting was folded on the roll, and it's just, I can kind of see a few creases in there. Next, I'm going to flip that whole thing over so that the back side is showing, and I'm going to attach the backing fabric the exact same way. So I just lay it all out nicely to make sure that it's lined up properly. Next, I'm going to do the same thing and just fold it back in about 1 foot wide sections. And here I am just picking off some threads because you will see those threads through that white backing fabric. And now I'm going to go ahead, and I folded this one down about halfway instead of going all the way like I did on my quilt top. It doesn't really matter. You can do it halfway or you can do it all the way like I did. And then I'm just going to continue doing the same thing, spray basting each little section as I go. And I do spray onto my fabric rather than the batting. It kind of depends on the fabric you're working on. Sometimes it doesn't stick very well, and so in that case I'll spray the batting, and I think you can kind of just do whatever you find is sticking best. As you can see here, I flipped it around, and now I am rolling it up the other side. There's Jax. Hello, Jaxie. He's always super helpful. And I'm going to just continue rolling that up, and I just keep rolling it, and then there you see me doing like a half roll. That's because I hit where my spray basting already was. So I'm just gonna spray that little section down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and continue spraying. Now I don't normally pull it down toward myself like this. I'm doing that so you can kind of see what I'm doing in the video. Normally I would be standing on the other side of the table so I can kind of push it away from me and I can get my hands underneath that folded section and make sure it's nice and flat. You can do it whichever way you prefer. And I'm just gonna go ahead and continue attaching my backing until it's completely done. And there I had to change my spray base. That is one I got from somewhere else. I don't recommend it, so just ignore that and pretend like I'm still using my favorite 505 basting spray. And then I just make sure everything's nice and smooth. And like I said, I don't normally iron it on. I'm just doing that on this one because I felt like it was a little wrinkly. And truth be told, this backing was folded in my stash and I did not take the time to press it before I basted it. So it's not super wrinkly, so it's fine. I'm just gonna run my iron over it really quick. I have low heat on and I'm going really fast so that I don't damage my cutting mat underneath by warping it or putting any steam or anything like that on it. Here we go, it's all basted and ready to be quilted, and I didn't have to climb around on the floor on my knees. All right guys, so that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions on table basting your quilt, please make sure to leave them in the comment section below and I'll do my best to get back to you. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. That really helps me out. You can also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.